in a suburban African community was a beloved family of 4. They were frequently always seen together at church. Though the young mother, Tola, was a busy business entrepreneur, yet her world was bright and filled with the warmth of family life. When she wasn't at her retail shop making orders and sales, her daily life revolved around a doting husband, Addie, and 2 lovely teenage twin daughters, Bolu and Remy. Addie was one who could fix anything. On one hand, a ready handyman, and donning another cap, he could burn food and still make everyone laugh about it. He made light of most things and laughed at the smallest provocation, a trait which positively influenced all that came across him. "Don't sweat the small stuff," he would always say. The girls were both excellent at school. Bolu, the more sociable one, always came home with a friend or 2. Her sister Remy, the bookworm, was mostly busy reading, day and night. Life was good in their lovely home. Suddenly, in the space of less than a month, their world became fractured, splintered into 1,000 jagged pieces. Unexpectedly, Addie fell critically ill. After 2 weeks on admission at the hospital, the doctors gave Tola the terrible news about Addie's terminally failed heart and kidneys. He was so weak that he could hardly speak, but one night he pleaded with a nurse to help him write a love note to his wife. He didn't wake up. Addie's laughter once reverberated through their cozy home, but now a chilling silence echoed through its empty rooms. The grief was a physical weight, pressing down on Tola, suffocating her. But even in her sorrow, she knew she had to be strong. For Addie, for their shared life, for the future they had planned, especially for their children. Preciously kept in her Bible, the note Addie wrote to her was a force of encouragement, urging her to be strong and continue to embrace the best of life. It also revealed the location of a will he had just drawn. Her grief was soon compounded by a cruel, unexpected blow. Within a month, Addie's family descended, their faces hard and unyielding. They spoke in high and low, clipped tones, their words slicing through her already raw heart. "You must move out right away," they echoed. They claimed everything. The house, the small car that both of them had painstakingly saved for, even his clothes, the scent of him still clinging to the fabric. She wanted to hold on to a t-shirt she had specially ordered for him for their last anniversary. But his brother clung to it. "I've always liked this shirt on my brother." "It is our right," they declared, their voices devoid of sympathy. "He had no sons. You are a woman alone. You cannot manage these things." She tried to plead sensibly with them, but they would not yield. Tola, still reeling from the loss of her husband, found herself stripped of her dignity, her security, her very identity. The in-laws had taken not just their possessions, but the tangible remnants of their life together. She was left with nothing but her daughters and the few personal clothes they could put together in a hurry. She moved to a small rented apartment with the help of Addie's closest friend, David. Initially, she felt empty and helpless, but would not succumb to self-pity. "I have to get myself together. This is a battle I must win," she said. The legal system, the supposed bastion of justice, seemed to mock her plight. At her first presentation to the local court, the judge, actually a justice of the peace, a heavy-set man with tired eyes, with a dismissive wave of his hand, told her, "These matters are complex. Family disputes are best resolved within the family. I will not interfere." "But they are stealing from me," Tola cried, her voice trembling. They are taking everything that was our life together. The law is the law, he replied, his gaze sliding away. What law is that? Tola mused to David as she left the City Hall court premises. David threw up his hands in confusion. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Tola found herself living in a small, cramped apartment, her meager savings dwindling. The whispers of the community, once filled with condolences, now carried a different tone. One of pity, of judgment. She was the widow, the woman who had lost everything. But amidst the despair, a flicker of something else began to burn within her. A stubborn ember of defiance. She would not be broken. She would not be silenced. She would fight. If the system would not protect her, she would find another way. She would be heard. She would reclaim what was rightfully hers. She would become a force, a storm, a relentless tide against the injustice that threatened to swallow her. She sought out 5 of her very close friends, and they prayed hard as they also strategized her next steps. Their chorused mantra was, "Nothing is impossible with God." Luke 1:37. Tola, fortified by her friends' support, returned to the court, a stark contrast to the broken woman who had first sought help there. This time she wasn't alone. Her friends, a small but determined group, stood beside her, their faces resolute. They carried with them the weight of shared grief, shared injustice, and shared faith. At her second court appearance, she came prepared, but she was simply ignored. She had gathered every document she could find, receipts, affidavits, even a letter from church confirming their shared life. This time, she also brought Addie's sworn testament and will. She stood before the judge again, her voice stronger this time, her resolve unshakable. But the judge barely glanced at the new evidence. He yawned, checked his watch, and interrupted her mid-sentence. "This is a waste of the court's time," he said, his voice tinged with irritation. "Go and sort your family matters out of here." Tola's hands clenched into fists. "This is substantial evidence for court action," she wanted to scream, but she bit her tongue. She and her friends left the courtroom seething, her determination hardening. She would not be ignored. At her third court appearance, the judge's bias got exposed. As the case proceeded, Tola began to notice a pattern. The judge's demeanor shifted whenever Addie's family spoke. He leaned toward them, nodding sympathetically, his tone softer, almost friendly. When Tola presented her case, his expression turned cold, his words clipped. "These matters are complex," he said, his gaze sliding away from her. "Without a male heir, the man's family should have a right to the property." He mumbled aloud. Tola's frustration boiled over. "What about my rights? I am his next of kin," she demanded, her voice rising. "What about the life we built together? What about my daughters?" The judge's face hardened. "You are a woman alone," he said dismissively, as if that explained everything. "You cannot manage these things." He banged his gavel. Tola left the courtroom that day with a fire burning in her chest. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for every person who had ever been silenced or dismissed. The fourth court appearance was the turning point. Tola was not alone this time. She was flanked by her lovely daughters. Her friends were also present, a small but determined group of women who had become her unwavering support system. They didn't wait to be summoned before presenting their case to the gathered crowd. They paced up and down outside the courthouse, holding signs that read, "Justice for Tola, and widows have rights too." Even passers-by stopped to listen as Tola spoke, her emotional voice clear and strong, her story evoking empathy. Inside the courtroom, the judge looked annoyed by the commotion. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded from the court clerk, his voice sharp. The case was called. Tola, without flinching, represented her documents including Addie's will, each piece of paper a testament to her rightful claim. "These are the proofs, sir," she repeated, her voice steady. "These are the records of our lives together and my husband's will. And this," she gestured to her daughters and friends, "is my community. They are here to remind you and the world that I am not alone." The judge adjusted his seat, his eyes flickering to the crowd outside. For the first time, he seemed to truly see her. He reviewed the documents carefully, his expression shifting from annoyance to something resembling respect. "This woman will not stop bothering me, and all her papers are very convincing," he said to himself. Luke 18:5, "Yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, lest by her continual coming she weary me." With a seriousness that mirrored Tola's own, he turned to address Addie's family. His words were measured, sharp, clear, and unyielding. He ruled in Tola's favor, declaring that the properties, the house, the car, even Addie's personal effects, rightfully belonged to her and her daughters. He sternly warned Addie's family against any further attempts to harass or mistreat Tola, emphasizing the gravity of their actions and the consequences of disobedience. The gavel slammed down, and Tola felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had fought for months, faced dismissal, bias, and outright disrespect, but she had won, not just for herself, but for her daughters, for Ada, and for every woman who had ever been told to sit down and shut up. The in-laws slithered out of the court premises by the bailiff after signing necessary restraining papers. They had to return all Tola's properties within a week and pay her damages for all she had suffered. Epilogue: A New Beginning. Tola walked out of the courtroom that day with her head held high. The weight of injustice that had pressed down on her for so long was finally lifted. She had her home back, her car, even Addie's favorite shirt. But more than that, she had her voice. And she wasn't afraid to use it. As she hugged her daughters, their faces filled with pride, she knew that this was just the beginning. She had faced the worst and come out stronger. And if anyone ever tried to take what was hers again, they'd have to face the importunate widow and her squad and her God. Tola, once a symbol of vulnerability, became a beacon of strength, a living testament to the enduring power of persistence.